Good morning, I'm Joanna Nagler and welcome to Senior Stretch. So today we're going to do a little deeper stretch for seniors. So if you feel like you're more of a beginner or you need something less intense, try the first few series of Nagler Senior Stretch, or you can even try chair yoga, Nagler chair yoga, where you're sitting in the chair, particularly if you have a hard time getting down to the floor. Okay, so how do we safely get down to the floor? We remember that we have a couple of ways. We can either hang onto an object, right, that's nearby, not way out here, but nearby. We walk ourselves down one finger and one knee, or one set of fingertips and one knee at a time. Or we can come down from a squat position, so our feet are nice and wide. We always in a squat set our butt back, so we don't want our knees over our toes, but our knees over our ankles. We sit down in a low squat. We walk our fingertips to the floor or to blocks, either way, and we come down one knee at a time, walking ourselves into an all fours position. So as long as we're here, let's just go right to a cat-cow position. Notice how the crease of the wrist is under the shoulders. Crease of the wrist under the shoulders. We never want ski jump arms. These are ski jumps, right? We want perpendicular arms. Knees are wide under the hips. We're going to sway the back, inhale, arch the back and exhale. Again, sway the back and inhale, and arch the back, exhale. Add the toes if you want, cock the toes, sway, inhale, flatten the feet, arch, exhale. Again, cock the toes and sway, and arch and exhale. Come on down to the floor, we walk our knees over, and come down to one hip, all the way down to the floor. We're going to go to some now familiar stretches. So right knee into the chest, left leg extends. Notice how I bend my ankle. I don't let my foot go slack, but I bend both ankles, and that the hand is not on the knee but across the shin. And then roll that knee out toward the right, just enjoying the opening in the hip. And then back to the midline, other side. Left knee in, hands on the shin. Move that leg over. Back to the midline, both hands on the shins, and then some alternating circles with the knees. Just roll left to right, let everything go. It's a great way to relax your back if you've been sitting in a chair for a long time. Then from here, flex the feet, point, flex and point, and then small circles with the ankles, small circles the other direction. Nice and easy, take the legs out into a straddle. Now notice I'm super flexible, so you may be here, that's just fine, or you may be here. No worries, just take your body to where your body wants to go. And always remember the rule of thumb. If in doubt, don't do it. If it hurts, don't do it. If you think it's going to hurt, don't do it. Bring the knees into the side waist. So just let your feet go slack and bring your knees in tight to the side waist. We're going to go right to a bridge pose. So how do we do a safe bridge pose? We want our feet flat on the floor, not too far out, but right where we have a grip. They don't have to be all the way into the butt either, but just where we have a nice grip. Then we're going to create a triangle between our shoulders and our head. No weight on the neck. Notice I can put my whole hand under the curve of my neck. So you're taking the weight in the shoulders and in the head, an equilateral triangle, which is a nice strong base. Lift on up, press the shoulders down, don't let them curl, press them down, intertwine the fingers, press the edges of the pinkies on the floor, and if you want more, you roll and tuck the shoulders towards each other's. Lovely hip and shoulder stretch. Then all the way down to the floor, both knees into the chest, one hand on each shin, take a little sway. And then the same thing, plant the feet. Good grip with the feet. Notice how wide the feet are, edges of the mat with the toes really. And then create the triangle between the shoulders and the head. Lift on up, intertwine the fingers, pinkies on the floor, so not in the air but on the floor. And then roll the shoulders. Take a nice lift. This is going to be a little bit more intense in your stretch, but if that's too intense for you, just keep your hands to the sides and lift a little bit less high. Take your hands underneath your knees and round your back like a gorilla. So see what I'm doing here? I'm not leaving my head back, but I'm taking my head and my shoulders in a rounded position. Hands under the knees. I'm going to use the belly to kick up and massage the back. One more time. Come on up. Extend your legs out. Give your legs a little shake. Go right to the forward bend. So remember, in the forward bend, we curl the ankles, curl the toes. Reach on up, fingers wide. Reach for what you've got. Now I can reach all the way to my feet. You might be here, here, or here. Don't worry about where you are. Just touch something. Draw your belly towards your thighs. Draw your head towards your feet. Keep your ankles bent and your toes curled. All the way out. You're going to bend that left knee. Take the hands under the right foot and extend the leg. Now again, you might be this far. You might be all the way. It doesn't matter. Just take what your body wants to do. Come on out nice and lightly. Other side. We're going to extend that leg up. And then walk yourself into Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together, remembering that the heels do not need to come in tight. Make it comfortable. Use your elbows if you like. Take your hands to your toes. Okay, we're going to come right into some knees and hip stretches. So you're going to need a couple of books and possibly a pillow, right? So I'm using the New Basics, and I'm using Shock Papan here. So I'm going to create what we would use in a studio. I'm going to create blocks. So I'm going to put the books back a nice distance, and then I'm going to use my hands and walk myself forward in an all-fours position and sit back so the butt, the sits bones we call them, are sitting solidly. So we don't want the books up front, we want the books back, right? Now if this is too intense on your knees, plant your hands next to your knees to always lift out. Take a little more padding, so take a pillow. Sit yourself up as high as you need to. Be careful not to slip on the books. And then take those knees either in, which is more intense, or out, which is a little bit easier. So find what works for you. Again, you want to find what your body wants to do without going to your outer edge. My rule of thumb is come back from your outer edge about an inch or two. All right, so from here we're going to intertwine the fingers. We're going to take the palms away, and we're going to wait. Lift the belly, draw the biceps by the ears, and just wait. Coming out lightly. Take the hands to the hips, tuck the head back and forth. We're releasing the head and neck. Notice as you drop back, you get a little bit more. You can go slower, and you can go a smaller range of motion than I'm going right here. Then small circles one direction. You always start small, and then work a little bigger as you go. If you find a stuck place, stop and breathe through it, or slow down. One more. And then reverse. Small circles one direction. Working a little bit bigger. Good. And then from here, hands in the middle of the back, so support the kidney area, right? Palms are right in the middle of the back, fingers facing the hips. Lay yourself back. Let go your forehead, your scalp, your cheeks, your jaw. Open your mouth, just breathe. All the way out, hands to the hips, one more time. We're tucking back and forth. Come on out. Now, how do we come out of this safely? Again, you always put your hands next to your knees, never out in front where you can put extra weight, or you can tweak the hips and knees by putting the hands out here. So keep them next to the knees, push up, so you mitigate the lift by putting some weight in the hands. If you happen to have blocks, then use the blocks. So I'm going to pull the books out, and we're going to use the blocks this time. If you're on books, just stay where you are. So plant the block or blocks back so you're sitting down. So you can challenge yourself, right? If you're up on 2 books and a pillow, you can stretch, and then for the second one, take the pillow away. So make sure that your knees allow it. Nice and easy. Again, I'm going to bring my legs together. It's harder to bring the legs parallel. Intertwine the fingers, but reverse the clasp. Take the palms away, biceps by the ears, and then start leaning back. You're going to feel
and neck and in your knees. Muscles across the quadriceps, top of the thighs. Take your time, work your way a little bit farther back if you can. Draw your head and neck out. Hands to the hips, little tuck of the head back and forth to release it. Hands in the middle of the back. Draw yourself all the way back. Come on out. Now since we're going to a little bit more advanced position, if you're on one block, this will work. If you're higher, it won't. So this is only for people who are on one block or one thick book. Take your fingertips to your toes. Your fingertips are touching your toes. So if you're not going to this pose, just keep your hands in the middle of your back and drop. But if you are, fingertips to the toes, fingertips are facing the toes, push out of the palms, lift the chest, bend the elbows a little bit, drop your head, soften your face. Wait for it and breathe. Then gently press yourself out. You always want to come out slowly when you're dropping your head and neck back. You see that movement, right? So I'm here. I'm not just lifting the head quickly. I'm slowly lifting the head, putting some pressure in the hands. And to come off the block or the books, we're going to plant the hands. Lift from the hands, not the knees. Come on out. All right, come all the way down to the floor. We're going to take a simple straddle stretch. So you're just going to flex your feet, take your legs open to a comfortable position. Come forward, fingertips, palms, or forearms, whatever you've got. And wait for it. Shake out the legs. Okay, we're going to go to some L pose stretches. So first I'm going to take the right leg back, and I'm going to create a little bit of an L here, right? Now most people are not going to be as flexible as me. They're not going to be able to get this dramatic L. So your knee might be here, it might be here, and it might be here. If you've recently had knee surgery, I would be ultra careful with this, or maybe skip this one. If your knees are healthy but just need a little stretch, this is great. Okay, so you're going to set your L here, here, or here, wherever it works for you. Your right foot is back behind, the toes are facing away. Now the most important note here is the left leg. Bend the ankle, curl the toes, calf is on the floor. Reach on up. Lift your belly, fingers are wide, and come on over. Touch something, knee, shin, foot, or ankle. Draw your belly toward your thigh, draw your face parallel to your knee and your head towards your foot. All the way out. Draw your leg out, shake it out. Take your left leg back. Again, you're going to set that comfort zone. Remember that one hip is more open than the other, so don't fight with the one that's tighter. Flex the foot, keep the calf on the floor, lift on up, reach over, lift your belly. Remember, you're keeping your face parallel to your knee. You're hanging on to whatever you can hang on to. Lift your belly and draw your head towards your foot. Come out lightly. Draw the legs out in front of you. Shake them out. Walk yourself into Baddha Konasana. So again, that little shaking or that rolling that we do of the back on the floor, it's called oscillation. It just helps reset the muscles in the joints. Now we're going to extend the legs, and this time we're going to take an opening inside the thigh. So I'm going to bend the ankle, curl the toes. I'm going to take the left leg in and open the hip. Now, your leg might be here, it might be here. Wherever it is, make sure you feel an opening in the hip, but you don't feel a tweak in the knee. Okay, so find the place that works for you. You need the right calf connected to the floor, so bend the right ankle. Reach on up. Take yourself over, same thing. If you get partway over and your knee feels like it's being pressed on too much, then release and reset the leg, okay? So here we are, taking the head towards the foot. Do not let the foot go slack. Keep that ankle bent. Draw your belly toward your thigh. All the way out nice and lightly. Other side, you're going to take your right leg and find that place where the knee is not bothered, but the hip is opening. Bend the left ankle. Sit up tall with a lifted belly. Draw yourself over. Reach, hang on to whatever you've got, and start to flatten your belly toward the floor. Come on out. Take yourself up by planting your hands. Come up to the side of the thigh. Press on up. When you're up, start taking your knees out nice and wide and your feet out left and right like duck feet. Once you have a nice little split, I call it a bent leg split. We come down on the forearms, make a triangle out of the forearms. Notice that I'm in an equilateral triangle with my forearms. Push the weight back into the hips. Take a lift in the belly. This can be really intense. So just breathe through it. Come out of this. Plant your hands gently. You always want to go slowly. Gently walk the knees in. Notice how I'm not dropping the knees in one motion. I'm walking them in gently in little steps. And then I'm going to come up to knee position. If you need to pad your knees, you're just going to take a nice little bathroom towel. Plant your knees a little bit wider than your hips. And then we're going to go right into a little back bend. So your ankles are going to be lined up with your knees. So no feet in a triangle. You want your ankles lined up with your knees. Hands on the hips, drop your shoulders back. Come on out lightly. Take a little small motion with your hips, small circles, not enough to bother your knees, just enough to release the hips. Intertwine the fingers this time. Now there's a couple parts to this. So you're going to draw your shoulders back, look up and back, lift your chest, drop yourself back. All the way out nice and gently. Okay, we're going to work on Ustrasana for seniors. So again, this is a stretch that's a little bit more intense. So we're going to cock the toes. So notice I'm not on the tips of my toes, I'm cocking the toes. The knees are a little bit wider than the hips. So notice that this is inside the line of my hips, this is about even with my hips, and this is outside the line of my hips. That's what we want. So I want the outside line of the hips, the feet lined up with the knees, cock the toes, and then from here, we're going to take our hands to the middle of our back, draw our shoulders back, and look up. Come on out lightly. Now, for those of you who are super flexible, we're going to reach for the heels, okay? Now, it's really important how we get out of this, so please pay attention. Here we go. I'm going to drop back. I'm going to reach for my heels. If I can't touch my heels, I keep my hands on my back. To come out of this, try not to lift in the back bend. Try to bend at your waist and sit your butt back. Plant your hands to come out. Let your feet go. You're in all fours position. Take one leg back, shake it out, drop it down, take the other leg back, shake it out. So let's go over that again. So we have a tendency in Ustrasana to want to lift like this, right? To lift out. We've already done the work of the pose. That's not necessary. So it's much easier on the body to sit the butt back. It's a little counterintuitive, but it really works. So cock the toes. One more time. Take the hands to the middle of the back. Draw your shoulders back. If you're going for your heels, drop your hands, reach for your heels, lift up. Then to come out, just sit your butt towards your heels. You bend at the waist. Plant the hands to the floor. Tops of the feet to the floor. If you can, sit back on your heels. Let your feet stretch. If this is too intense, you just put your hands next to your knees and take a little weight on your hands and come back as far as your body wants to go. So largely in this pose, if you lean forward, you get less pressure on the knees. If you sit back, you get a little more of a stretch. All the way out and walk yourself up to standing. So to standing, we're going to find the all fours position. Walk our feet up into that squat. Walk our fingertips back. See, I'm still in the squat. Hands on the hips. Start to straighten the legs and pause in the L pose. So I'm in an L pose right now. Take an isometric pull between the thighs and come on up to standing. So that isometric pull between the thighs keeps the weight out of the back. So we're going to go right into a shoulder stretch. So from here, we're going to sit the weight back. Intertwine the fingers. Notice how my knees are over my ankles, not over my toes. Intertwine the fingers and you come as low as you like. If you have issues with balance, you only come this far with your face parallel. If you don't, drop your head fully. Nice easy squat in the legs. Unwind, fingertips to the earth as you straighten the legs. Hands on the hips. You're in that L pose again. You take a little isometric pull between the thighs. Come on up. We're going to do it once more. Intertwine the fingers behind you this time. Sit the butt back first. Then bend the knees. Then come as low as you like. Face parallel if you need balance. Eyes open. Or drop the head all the way. Unwind fingertips or palms to the floor. Walk yourself down. We're going to go right into a child's pose. Knees out, toes in, plant the hands, forehead down and forearms down. Take a breath. Push some weight back into the back body by lifting the elbows and again dropping the forehead. And then come on up. Walk yourself around into a seated position. Let your hips settle. And thanks so much for joining me for Senior Stretch today. There'll be more to come.